So, if you're trying to really acquire a fleet of vehicles this year, there are a few things you need to really pay attention to. I mean, not only the cost, but also there are some hacks, some practices I want to share with you that you really want to pay attention to in terms of acquisition, but also in terms of maintenance. Okay. So, let's first define what the fleet vehicle actually, the acquisition of fleet vehicles actually means. Okay. So, fleet vehicle purchasing is actually the process, if you will, of acquiring vehicles for your company's operations. So, you can be this can be for your delivery business, or it can be for your non-delivery business. In other words, you have a regular business that actually needs, let's say, more than one vehicle. Okay, so fleet to purchase a fleet of vehicles just means that you are actually looking at several vehicles at the same time, either actually the same brand or various brand. Okay, various brands, but it has to be for the same organization. That's really the most important element to really remember here. So these vehicles could be used cars or let's say new vehicles, and actually range from SUVs to vans to trucks. It really depends. Okay, and sometimes I mean nowadays with with new trends, you have even electric vehicles. Okay, so you can buy let's say a fleet of electric vehicles, and that's totally fine. So depending on your business needs, fleet cars could be used for a range of purposes. I mean, including delivering goods. Okay, so if you are in the delivery business, or you just need a vehicle to deliver goods, you can also use a vehicle or vehicles to provide services, and you can also facilitate employee mobility. So what happens here is that if your organization is growing, or you just need to diversify how you make employees commute, basically a fleet of vehicles can really help. So whether you are a rental car company or a government agency, it's actually critical to always test drive and procure the right vehicle for your, let's say, business needs, especially if you are in a sector that's changing all the time, like your needs are changing all the time. Then you want to really pay attention to the whole process of fleet vehicle acquisition. So let me give you a few tips here. If you want to acquire a fleet of vehicles this year, the first thing you want to do, and this might sound a little trivial to you, but it's not. You want to weigh all your options. Why? Because when you speak about a fleet of vehicles, you are speaking about what, tens of thousands of dollars in cost, right? So the little mistake can really cost your company a lot of cash. So you want to weigh all your options, let's say, thoroughly, to make sure that acquiring a fleet of vehicles is actually the way to go. Okay. So once you know exactly what kind of vehicles you want to acquire, where you want to acquire it, just ask yourself again the question: do I really need? Does my organization really need those vehicles? Only you know exactly how your vehicles will be used, right? So you need to come up with a list of must-haves for your vehicle or vehicles. But it's important to be open-minded. Okay, so try not to choose anything specific to a particular brand or manufacturer, because some of your parameters may offer some wiggle room while others may be steadfast, right? But you want to make sure that you are flexible enough to actually to incentivize the dealer also, the car dealer. So it's up to you to decide which is which. Some questions. Let me give you a few questions that you may ask yourself. Okay, or you can even ask your team members. Okay, now what will the vehicle be hauling, and how much space will it require? Do you need some kind of spacious vehicles or not? What weight capacity will the truck need? If you are basically going to buy a truck, what kind of weight capacity do you need? How will the payload be organized? Will the vehicle need special accommodations like shelving, toolboxes, or ladder racks? That's important, especially if you are going to haul specific loads, like you are in a niche industry and you want to have some kind of specific, adjustments to the vehicle. Now, how many people will be in the vehicle at once? Will the vehicle need to pull a trailer? And does the vehicle require two-wheel or four-wheel drive? That's important from a maintenance, but also from a drivability point of view. So, first option, you want to weigh all of your options and make sure you are making the right decision. Next, if you want to acquire a fleet of vehicles, you want to take vehicles for for a test drive. I don't care, how sweet the car dealer rep. I mean the rep, yeah, the salesman or saleswoman is actually with you. You want to take the vehicles for a test drive. Don't really believe whatever they say because it's trying to sell. They are just trying to sell. Your job is to make sure you acquire vehicles that are drivable, quote unquote drivable, right? So the test drive process is actually a critical. Don't just test drive the final vehicle on your list. Visit many dealerships and test drive all vehicles that meet your parameters. So the whole thing is that once you are kind of interested in specific vehicles, in a specific vehicle, you want to really drive it because this whole thing makes it easier to focus on business later, right? So, because you are test driving so many vehicles, you want to take good notes during each run to ensure that you remember the vehicle letter. Okay, you can actually put down the brand name, the make, the year, and that kind of stuff. Okay, now you want to ask questions from the driver's perspective because they will be operating those vehicles daily. Next thing is you want to work with fleet sales representatives. I mean, I know there is a temptation to actually say, I just want to work with a regular dealer or let's say a dealership representative. But sometimes, if you want to acquire a fleet of vehicles, it's just better to speak to somebody specific. Okay, fleet sale representative, somebody who really sort of handles this kind of process. Okay, there is a big difference between someone who sells vehicles to the average driver, okay, and someone who sells vehicles to fleets, okay. So if you're dealing with a fleet salesperson, you will typically find them more straightforward because they handle most things like financing. So you don't have to jump through hoops because they know, like, I mean, if you're buying 10 vehicles from the dealership, they want to make sure that you acquire the vehicle real fast, okay? So dealing with a consumer purchase may take hours, but purchasing through a fleet department is far more efficient. So if you're thinking about acquiring a fleet of vehicles, please don't go to the consumer section. You want to go to the fleet section to make sure that you are taken care of real fast and seriously. If you want to acquire a fleet of vehicles, it's important in this economy, especially in this economy. You really want to look at costs, right? So you want to check for the best pricing. Again, don't just assume because you're just buying 5 vehicles or you're buying 10 vehicles that the dealership is going to give you automatically a good price. Not really, not necessarily. It's your job to make sure that you are indeed getting the best price possible. That's why I was just telling you a little earlier to make sure that you weigh all your options because some options will cost more than others. So you want to make sure that you have the proper options that your organization wants. And once you actually start shopping, you are actually getting exactly the kind of vehicle that you need. So once you have selected your vehicles, you can start looking for quotes. You don't have to stick to your immediate area, right? You may find deals where you least expect them, and the sticker price may not be the last indicator of what you will pay, right? Because this is just the beginning, okay? So it's always a good idea to ask the dealer to actually invoice the purchase to get a ballpark idea of what you will be paying, okay? So you want to consider a fair markup, usually 250 to $1,000, and you can estimate what you will pay for the vehicles. This helps you actually proactively make an offer on your vehicles. And this is a negotiation. You got to really make an offer. You have to be proactive for the sales rep, the fleet rep, to also respond to you. And finally, and this is an important element, you want to be aware of discounts. So if you want to acquire a fleet of vehicles, let's say cargo vans, trucks, regular automobiles, you still want to be aware of discounts. So a lot of times, the more you buy, the more discounts are available, right? But this is not the only time you can receive discounts. The preferred pricing method is also available to business owners when they purchase as few as 5 vehicles. So every manufacturer has a different requirement for preferred pricing. So what you want to do is you want to determine the specifics for the manufacturer that you are interested in and see what discounts are actually available at the dealer. And those discounts can be really can be they can really vary. So I can't really if you have a question, let me know in the comment section, and I'll just let you know for the specific location where you are at and the brand you're looking at, what kind of discounts are available. So, if you are thinking about acquiring a fleet of vehicles this year, let me give you a few extra hacks here. I just shared with you the top tips, the top 5 tips, but also there are some extra hacks I want to share with you that can really facilitate the whole process for you. Okay. So, one thing for sure, it's important to understand your business needs. So, before you start looking at vehicles, you want to have a clear understanding of your business needs. Okay. And most importantly, the mileage. How many miles will the vehicles typically cover in a day, a week, a month? So if you have a clear idea about mileage, this is not just for tax purposes, but also that's for things like gas, okay, gas cost, but also the obsolescence of the car. In other words, how fast the car will depreciate, okay? So you want to consider actually the total cost of ownership, the TCO. I mean, if you acquire a fleet of vehicles, the TCO becomes very critical because the retail price of a vehicle is just one part of the cost equation. If you think about it, you also need to think about the total cost of ownership, which includes things like fuel cost, maintenance expense, insurance, and potential resale value, right? So, a vehicle with a higher purchase price may sometimes have a lower TCO due to its fuel efficiency and lower maintenance costs. So just be aware of that as well. You want to think green also, with increasing environmental concerns and stricter emissions regulations, it's always a good idea to actually look for electric or hybrid vehicles for your fleet. They not only reduce your company's carbon footprint, but also can lower operating costs in the long run. So think about that. You also want to explore financing options. I mean, unless your company has a large coffer, like a large budget, you want to want to think about financing options because purchasing vehicles outright can be a significant financial burden. Leasing or financing the vehicles can spread the cost over time and free up capital for other business needs. Okay, that's important to think about, and also plan for the future. So, when purchasing fleet vehicles, make sure to not only consider your current needs, but also account for, let's say, a future growth and changes in technology. So that's an important element to think about. So if you anticipate your business growing in the next, let's say, 5 years or 10 years, you want to choose vehicles that can accommodate that growth. I'm speaking about things like size, technology, or purchase price. Also, let me share with you a few factors to consider when purchasing fleet vehicles. And those factors are quite essential. If you do not want to really end up actually losing a lot of cash, make sure you're paying attention to cost effectiveness, operational efficiency, environmental impact, and the company image. I mean, let me start with the company image. I mean, a lot of fleet purchasers forget about the fact that the vehicle is going to be an important element when it comes to branding the company. Okay, so your fleet often serves as a mobile advertisement for your business. Believe it or not, so well maintained, modern vehicles will enhance your company's image and reputation. Right. So you want to. It's not just about acquiring the vehicle; it's about maintaining the vehicle. Also, think about the environmental impact. So, basically, I think I just said a few minutes ago, awareness of climate change is continuing to really increase big time. It's picking up momentum big time in the public perception, right? So, as a business, you gotta really work to minimize your environmental footprint. So, choosing electric or hybrid vehicle for your fleet is actually a significant step towards sustainability. You also have to think about operational efficiency, not just in the short run, but also in the long run. Because if you think about it, the right make and model will actually enhance operational efficiency. So, fuel efficient cars will reduce running costs, while the right size of vans or trucks will optimize cargo transportation, right? And finally, think about cost effectiveness, because purchasing decisions directly impact your company's bottom line, right? So what happens here is that you need to consider a few things. You got to consider not only the upfront cost of the vehicles, okay, but also the ongoing expenses. Like, think about maintenance, think about fuel, think about insurance. Also, I mean, this insurance is a mandatory ongoing expense anyway. Whether you want it or not, you have to really you have to pay for it. So it's important to think about it. Let me close to this conversation by giving you the challenges of fleet vehicle purchasing. I mean, there are a few challenges to really be aware of. So, because again, the last thing you want to think about is actually losing money, right? So, fleet vehicle purchasing always has some particular challenges. I'm not just speaking about, let's say, the number of cars you want to buy or where you want to buy the car at, okay? But the thing is, you have challenges such as a high initial investment, the need for regular maintenance, dealing with vehicle depreciation, and staying up to date with the latest vehicle technologies and trends. Okay, and those are real stuff because you know tech is changing all the time, the economy is changing all the time, and there are certain things you can't predict. I mean, who would have known what happened during COVID, like a couple of years ago, for instance? So basically, you have to think also about the strategies for successful fleet purchases. Okay. In other words, you want to think about leasing versus buying, new versus used vehicles, electric or gas powered vehicles. Okay. So when I say leasing versus buying, well, leasing for sure offers a lower upfront cost and also the flexibility to upgrade vehicles as technology advances. Buying, on the other hand, gives you total control of the car and the possibility to sell them later, potentially recovering some of your investment. So you got to really think about what's important for your company's financial situation and long-term goals. What about new versus used vehicles? Well, purchasing used vehicles can significantly reduce your upfront costs, right? You don't have to spend tens of thousands of dollars. However, it's important to understand that used vehicles may have a higher maintenance cost and a shorter lifespan. So, when considering used vehicles, having them thoroughly inspected is actually critical to avoid unexpected repair costs down the line. Especially, the last thing you want is to actually spend all your budget on maintaining or repairing the cars that you just bought. And also think about some strategies for managing fleet vehicles effectively post purchase. You can utilize fleet management software, right? So, investing in fleet management software can help you track and optimize your fleet's performance. And the software can provide valuable data on fuel consumption, maintenance schedules, driver behavior, and more. So, and all this helps you make more informed decisions about your fleet. You can also regularly conduct fleet audits to see what's really happening in your fleet, what's working, what's not working. Okay, so you can identify, for instance, issues early and make necessary adjustments. This could include replacing older vehicles, adjusting routes to reduce mileage, or providing driver training to improve fuel efficiency. So, in conclusion to this conversation, I spoke to you about how to acquire a fleet of vehicles, and I gave you the my top tips, and then afterwards, I share with you some extra hacks. Thank you so much. God bless you. I will see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.